Clearly, there's a lot of people with service businesses in here, and obviously the focus on tonight is about taking your product to market. We'll also talk a little bit about services too, because there is a lot of crossover. How many of you have a product that you have already taken to market? So we do have a few. How many of you have an idea for a product that you'd like to take to market but aren't quite sure what to do? Okay, good, a lot more hands. Very good. I'd also like to ask a question of you, because we are not going to have enough time to cover everything. We're going to get off to a good start. I want to find out from a show of hands, which of these items, which of these topics have the most interest to you? And we'll cover what we can. Patenting your idea. We got a couple of answer patents. Ways to market your product?
Always.
Capitalizing your business?
Always.
Developing a business plan? Establishing your vision and goals? I know a few people talked about networking.
Oh, yeah.
Networking?
Trying to get started, you forgot that one?
Maintaining personal balance? Everyone's got personal balance in here, that's pretty good, okay. And selling into today's marketplace. Okay, that one's a teaser because that one's at least an hour presentation, so Patrick's gonna have to invite me back on that one and I'll talk on that one specifically. I want to share with you a little bit about my background. I've been an entrepreneur for years, started as a 17-year-old, starting a teenage disco in Livermore. In fact, I brought this photo of when I still had angel flights and a silk shirt, and we remodeled the oldest building in the city of Livermore, and it's kind of funny now. Have any of you been to downtown Livermore recently?
Yes.
It's kind of funny because it's the only building left. It's the oldest building in the city. Our disco with the paint job we won a beautification award is still there. And did the corporate thing for years with Pepsi, running divisions for them, and at 30 got inspired to take a product to market, my very first product, which is this goofy little bandage for split fingernails. And how that idea came about is how most people's ideas came about, is somehow it touched your personal life. And no, I didn't have a split fingernail. That was not a problem for me. But I did have a girlfriend who had a split fingernail, and I saw her cutting out a Band-Aid. She put it over her fingernail, and I asked her, what are you doing? And she said, well, I split a nail. And I said, well, why don't you buy something? And she said, well, nothing works. So I said, why don't we make something? She said, okay, so we did. We patented that product, and still 15 years later, you can find it in Walgreens and Longs, and it's on Home Shopping Network, and I do about 1 million pieces a year of it. So that little product has done quite well over time, and since then have developed numerous other products, primarily around cosmetics. I've also launched service companies. I had a company that serviced the automotive industry. We had 150 dealerships in Northern California we serviced, and recently sold that, and I'm very glad to not be talking with used car managers anymore. I want to share something with you, some numbers about taking your product to market. How many of you have seen companies that offer to help you take a product to market? Seen their advertising on TV? Yeah. This is a brochure I get from one of them, Invention Submission Corporation, and they send me in my categories new product ideas to find out if I had an interest. Kind of an interesting number on this. NBC 13 did an article about people who invested in like companies. And the typical investment was around $15,000. And they surveyed 8,600 people. Do you know how many of those people got their $15,000 back in terms of sales of the product?
5%.
10 was the closest, 21. 21 out of 8,600 got their money back. Now, 1 in 500 new products actually makes it to market, and patented products, only 3 out of 80 make it. So you think, well, why do it? I mean, the odds are really against you. What I'm here to tell you is they really aren't. There's a lot of ways you can improve upon that, and I'd like to share some of those ideas tonight. And I'll share with you one of the things you don't want to do. This is not how you take a product to market. This is kind of the last step. It's the easy way out, and I'm going to tell you why a lot of people make mistakes along those lines. First of all, most people when they're taking a product to market want to take the easy way out. I can't tell you how many people over the years have come to me and said, I've got an idea, why don't you market it for me? I've got enough other things going on. They will not take the initiative to do it themselves. Most people inherently want to take shortcuts. They will not do what they need to do to get their product to market. If you're willing to do the work, put the time in, not think I'm going to build it, I'm going to go get a patent on it, and I'm going to go sell it to somebody for millions of dollars because I've got this great idea. You know, maybe it has happened for people. I haven't seen it yet personally. What I know of, and most of you are business owners, right? How many of you have ever had a business and actually sold that business too? Any of you? Let me ask you, when you sold your business, what did they base the sale on?
Based upon multiple revenues.
Exactly. It wasn't based on, well, how well do you think you're going to do in the future, right? Or promises that you may do well in the next year or two. It's on what you've done. It's on the sales. It's not going to be, well, this is going to be a great product. Not going to happen for you if you think someone's going to buy that for millions of dollars without a sales history against it. So you need to take it to market yourself or private label it, which we'll talk a little bit about tonight. I want to help you beat those odds, give you ways around doing it. Another thing too, and this is kind of an interesting piece, and this room is probably a great group that's an exception to this rule, is people will work harder for others than they will for themselves. I hear you laughing because you know that. You see it happening every day. They do.
Fear of getting fired.
You're right. You're right. The fear of getting fired, they got to have that paycheck. They will work harder for somebody else than they will for themselves. I didn't really fully grasp this till a few years in when I would try and recruit VPs, CEOs, presidents of companies to join me on ventures, and thought, well, they got to be entrepreneurial. Look what they're doing. And they couldn't do it. They could not dedicate the time to a venture that was for themselves. They could only spend the time on their salaried position. So if you were willing to put in the time, you can make it happen for you. What I'd like to share with you are my 8 keys to entrepreneurial success. And when I tell people I've taken a product to market, what do you think is the first question I usually get?
What's the product?
That's one. What is the product? Okay, and then once they know the product, what's the next thing they would ask?
How much money you make?
And let me give you a little more of a hint towards it. When they want to know how I did it, the first thing
What did you do?
they ask me, what's your degree in? Did you go to college? Did you go to college and what's your degree in? Well, I did. I went to Chico. My degree's in marketing and beer drinking, which really didn't help me at all. I found it gave me really no insights in terms of taking my product to market. And I didn't fully understand that how much of this was about doing versus classroom learning and not about my background. It was about going out and just making this happen until I got a chance to speak before a college class at City College of San Francisco. How many of you have done double duty where you worked for somebody and gotten your business off the ground at the same time? Yeah, I had the same thing, 7 years of that. I know it's a long time. And I was working for Pepsi at the time. I was speaking to a class at City College of San Francisco on one of Pepsi's great products, Crystal Pepsi. You know, anyone even remember Crystal Pepsi?
Is that in the red bomb?
You know, me and Ben, I forgot. That's very good. Thank you for the Coke reference. But he asked me to speak. I told him what I was doing. I told him I launched this product. I was about 3 years in, had just gotten into some retail stores. I'd gotten into Walgreens and Longs and a few other chains. And he said, would you speak before my class? I've got this class, and their whole mission for the semester is to take a product to market. And I said, sure, I would love to do that. And I thought he was going to ask me to speak at the beginning of the class to give him some guidance at the beginning of the semester. And he said, I'd like you to speak at the end of the semester. And I thought, I just started doing this a couple years ago. And they're going to have a full semester learning specifically how to do this. It's their only mission in the class. And these kids are going to smoke me. I'm just hoping I can build a presentation that takes up the entire class. They don't have time to ask any questions because I don't want a question. What I found when I got up, though, there wasn't anything I couldn't handle. They asked me a lot of questions, and I realized how much I knew and how much more I still knew than them, even though they'd had a full semester of it, just from going out and doing it. So it's not about your degree. It's not about your background. It's about you. It's about your drive. And so I'd like to share my 8 keys to entrepreneurial success, and what you're going to find amongst those 8, you're going to say, that's real basic. That's real simple. And from talking with entrepreneurs over the years, working with them, I think it really is.